Friday again, February 21st, 2014, 866-582-9933. That's the number to call, 866-582-9933. Are you a podcaster? Couldn't listen during regular hours? Is your boss cracking the whip at the JOB? The podcast number, 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696. Well, was out of the office yesterday on very important business and missed my favorite day of the week, Metaphysical Thursday. So we had a chat this morning, part of the weekly worldwide exclusive chats for Dr. Glidden insiders and their guests only. And an interesting concept came up, which I'm going to riff on for the next 11 minutes or so, in homage to Metaphysical Thursday yesterday, which I missed. Thought. The very nature of thought itself is, by its very nature, a metaphysical concept. Because nobody knows where thoughts come from. Nobody knows where they go. Nobody knows anything about the process which is at the root of the generation of a thought. However, there are some very interesting things that we do know about thoughts. Let's do a little in-house experiment. All right? If you're not driving, if you're somewhere where you can safely and comfortably close your eyes for 10 seconds, just close your eyes. Otherwise, keep your eyes open. And I'd like everybody in the listening audience to think about a zebra. Think about a zebra. Think about a zebra. Close your eyes, think about a zebra. Or keep your eyes open, think about a zebra. Just think about a zebra. Got it? Good. All right, open your eyes. Now, I want you to close your eyes again and not think about a zebra. Don't think about a zebra. Do not think about a zebra. Well, I think you thought about a zebra, didn't you? You can open your eyes. This simple exercise underlines two things. Number one, when you directed your thoughts to think about a certain thing, in this case a zebra, that proves that you are separate from your thoughts. Because if you were not separate from your thoughts, you could not have done that. You were able to think a very specific and particular thought. You generated the thought, which means you are separate and distinct from the thought. But then when I told you not to think about something, you did the opposite. You thought about it. Which means thoughts are extremely hard, if not impossible, to 100% completely control. You are not your thoughts, and thoughts are virtually impossible to control. This is a very interesting thing to think about, pun intended. If you are, in fact, not your thoughts, then you are something different and separate from your thoughts. And inasmuch as that is a fact, an integral fact of your human nature, there are exercises which you can do to separate yourself from your thoughts, and those exercises are referred to as meditation. Many different types of meditative disciplines exist in the world, and none of them attempt to control your thoughts. All of them attempt to give you ownership of your body-mind and to allow you to spend time in the part of your body-mind which is separate and distinct from your thoughts. The simplest, one of the oldest meditative techniques in the world is called Shuddhi. S-U-D-D-H-I, Shuddhi. It's pronounced Shuddhi. It's very similar to Zen meditation. Actually, Zen meditation had its roots in Shuddhi. And the emphasis on Shuddhi is simply to let your thoughts go. You don't try to control your thought. You just let them go. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was lucky enough to grow up in a somewhat a bucolic environment. It was a country environment, more or less. I remember lying in the grass on spring afternoons or summer mornings, or going down to the beach and lying on the sand and just watching the clouds go by, right? And trying to make pictures out of the clouds. Remember those lazy, hazy days of summer? I mean, man, wasn't it great to be a kid for most of us? So this shuddhi exercise, this meditation exercise, is very similar to that. The intention of this exercise is to ground yourself in the part of your body-mind which is not your thoughts, which is separate and distinct from your thoughts. So, to practice this particular type of meditation, it's extremely easy. It takes a little bit of getting used to. There's a knack to it, just like riding a bike. You have to get the knack, and once you've got the knack, you've got the knack. For some people, it comes easily. For some people, there's a little bit more difficulty, but it comes for everybody. The problem here is that it is so easy that we try to complicate it and overwork it and overthink it. Again, pun intended. So in order to do this exercise, you sit someplace that's quiet, where you're alone, where you're not going to be distracted by the telephone or by the TV or by the neighbors banging on the walls or whatever. And you keep your back nice and straight. You don't have to sit in a cross-legged position. Just sit up in a chair. Keep your back nice and straight. Close your eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. And then just be aware of what you're thinking about. Just be aware of what you're thinking about, and then let it go. When you let it go, another thought pops up. Just be aware of that thought, and then let it go. And then another thought pops up. So I'll give you an example. So let's say I'm doing this and I'm thinking about my nephew Sam. My nephew Sam springs to my mind. What I could do is think about Sam. I could think about all the things that Sam's doing and the reason I was thinking about him and what I need to tell him and what we're going to be doing and this, that, and the other thing. I could run with it, which is what most of us do most of the time, most of the day. But this time, in this particular exercise, I just recognize that I'm thinking about Sam, and I let it go. I do not follow the thought. Now, every time you let the thought go, you detach yourself from the active thought. Another thought pops up, but you become more and more grounded in that part of your being, which is your true nature. Most of us have never really spent more than 10 seconds at a time in this part of our body-mind. Usually we experience it right before we fall asleep or right after we wake up. Right after we wake up, for 10 or 15 seconds, there's this giant silent space inside of which we exist for a few seconds, and then we come to our senses and snap out of it, and life begins. As you detach from your thoughts more and more and more and more and more and more and more, your mind quiets down. Professional meditators describe the mind as an ocean, a very, very deep ocean. And I don't know if there are any scuba divers in the audience, but I'm a scuba diver. Been a scuba diver since I was 16 years old. It's a lot of fun scuba diving, and an interesting thing to understand about the ocean is there can be a hurricane on the surface of the ocean with 30-foot waves, unbelievably turbulent, blowing winds, and oh my God, it's a nightmare. But 30 feet underneath the ocean, perfectly calm. It's the same with the mind. As you perfect this meditative technique, which, takes a little bit of doing, but it's not difficult at all. Once you perfect this technique and become an adept in letting thoughts go and not following them through and grounding yourself in that part of yourself which is not your thoughts, you sink deeper into your mind, and the deeper you go, the calmer it becomes. At some point in this meditative discipline, you will have the very pleasant, distinct experience that you are sitting in the middle of a gigantically vast room, an infinitely vast room filled with absolutely nothing but silence. And the experience of joy that overpowers your body, that overcomes your body in that moment is undescribable. It's better than the most profound sleep you've ever had. It is extremely refreshing and extremely rejuvenating, and it is a goal to be sought after wholeheartedly. And all you do is let it go. Ground yourself in a meditative position. Close the eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Focus your intention. Observe your thoughts and let them go. Observe your thoughts and let them go. Observe your thoughts and let them go. And ground yourself moment after moment after moment in that part of your being which is separate and distinct from your thoughts. The more time you can hang out there, the better you'll feel. This has immense benefit physiologically. The TM people, the Maharishi Mahesh people, the Beatles, remember the Beatles when they went over to India, right? Well, that was the guy. The transcendental meditation people have done lots and lots of studies on the positive effects of meditation on the physical body, and also the positive effects of meditation sociologically. Now, as we move forward here into 2014, we're going to be interviewing people who are adepts in this field and many others. But in homage to the Metaphysical Thursday yesterday, which I was not able to be here for, and we did a greatest hits recording yesterday. Hope you enjoyed that, by the way. Wanted to throw out this little meditative pearl. This meditative discipline can have a profound positive impact on your life, and it is as easy as letting something go. Check it out. Give it a try. You don't know what you don't know. And I got to tell you, you're going to love how you feel. Dave from Michigan, up in the thumb, is back. We're going straight to him on the other side of this break. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for finding me on this Friday, the 21st day of February 2014. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, Friday, February 21st, 2014. I'm your host, Dr. Peter Glidden. Thank you very much for finding time to spend with me this afternoon. Let's see what good old Dave is up to in Michigan, besides freezing to death. Welcome back, Dave. You are live.
Hey, Doc. Welcome back to you, too.
Thanks a lot, man. Isn't this the craziest winter ever? I mean, I say it, I sound like a broken record, but it's true. It's freaking me out a little bit, I got to tell you.
Harp.
Something. I know, right? Something's going on.
We've had over 6 feet of snow here in the southern thumb, and we have about 40 inches, on typical year. So
yeah, that's twice as much.
Yeah, and Barack, who's insane, will bomb us. He wants us to believe it's global warming, right, caused by us. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Is there a HARP facility where you are? Because I grew up in Massachusetts, and about 20 miles away from my house there was a big HARP, and there was a big HARP facility.
No, there is not one near us, but from my understanding, there's now about 7 of them around the world. So they're all competing against each other, and there's actually a weather weapons treaty that the UN has had a bunch of nations sign, and back in the 70s, and we're one of them. So says we can't use weather weapons against each other, but doesn't say anything about using them on your own people. So
wouldn't you just love to know? I mean, wouldn't you just love to have a crystal ball and just know, I mean, who killed Kennedy and what went on with 9/11 and why were we in Vietnam and, where is, Jimmy Hoffa buried and all? Wouldn't you just love to know all this stuff, man?
Yes, I sure would.
Yeah, a lot of people would. Well, if you find the secret decoder ring, you know who to call.
You betcha.
Speaking about calls, thanks for today's call, Dave. How can I help?
Well, a couple of things. I would like to know about endometriosis, but I also heard you talking about a whole house generator. Have you explored solar energy yet? We have solar here in Michigan at my home.
And how's it working?
Well, I'll tell you what. We just got up and running December 30th, but I'm making anywhere from, like today or yesterday, it was, nasty rain and cold, freezing rain, snowing, thunderstorms, pouring down rain, and we made 4,000 watts, which is 4 kilowatts. But on a sunny day, we make about 35 kilowatts, which is 35,000 watts. Now, my electric bill says in the last year, the highest usage month was 60 kilowatts. I can make that in 2 days.
Wow, that's even if it's cloudy, you can make that.
When it's cloudy, it might take I go about 3 days without sun, and even in the no sun days, I can make anywhere from, like I said, 4 kilowatts in a storm, and I've had that in a blizzard. I made 4 kilowatts, but then with the panels covered with snow, and then in just a no sun day, I make anywhere from that 4 to 16, 18 kilowatts. So
how many panels do you have?
I have 20.
Wow. How big is each one of them?
They're about 40 inches wide and about 60 inches tall, and I put them on the ground on a stand so I can sweep them off with a pool broom, when they're covered in snow, because my wife's niece has a system with 30 panels, but she put hers on the roof. She's about an hour north of me, and hers been covered in snow most of the winter.
Right. See, and that's the thing, right? I live in the woods, and we couldn't put anything on the ground here because it wouldn't get anything. It'd have to go on the roof. Right. And I'm honestly surprised, and maybe this is maybe you can invent this. I mean, I don't know. Somebody's going to invent this. But in the rear window of your car, they've got those electrical wires that are embedded in the glass, and it defrosts the glass, right? I'm surprised they don't do that for solar panels in winter climates. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Well, you know what? They actually the solar panels do heat up in when they're covered with snow, but it's not wires, but there is metal. There's it's like a crisscross pattern underneath the glass, or it's not glass. It's I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, my wife's brother in Nevada, he designs and sells solar, and it's called Affordable Solar, and I'm telling you, he blows everybody out of the water. So before you pull the trigger on that whole house generator, because you cannot store enough diesel fuel or whatever it is, even natural gas.
Well, there's two things that I'm up against here. Number one is I'd love to be off the grid. And number two, until I get off the grid, I need a backup. Hold that thought, Dave. It's a hard break. Ladies and gentlemen, stick around. More from the thumb of Michigan when we come back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. It's hour 1, Friday, 21st day of February, 2014. We're talking to Dave up there in Michigan, and I think his question is about endometriosis. Is that right? Come on in, Dave. Are you with me?
I am with you, but you haven't pushed the button yet.
Okay, I'm pushed. Are we good?
There you go.
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah, my buddy just found out that his 80-year-old mother had endometriosis while he was growing up and had 2 cycles a month, and that answered his questions about his dad and his mom. And now, and she was in that medical industry, a nurse and everything, and they don't know nothing about it. They don't know what causes it and all that. I figured, you know what, I bet the docs know.
Well, our position on endometriosis is what happens with endometriosis is in the female uterus, there's a lining. And every month, the lining is refreshed in order to accept a new fertile egg, right? And the egg either gets fertilized or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, the lining plus the unfertilized egg is sloughed off once a month, and that's the woman's menstrual cycle. It's the discharge of old uterine tissue. And, that's just a normal part of life, and everything is good when your body is optimal. Now, some women, because we speculate that some women, because of the anatomy of their body, right? Some people have long arms, some people have short arms, some people have long legs, some people have short legs, some people have wide bodies, some people have skinny bodies. Well, it's the same inside the body. Some people's lungs are long and skinny, and other people's lungs are short and fat, and it's no different with the uterus and the fallopian tubes. So because of the architecture of the internal organs, if certain women use tampons during their menstrual cycle, the flow of the uterine tissue that's trying to leave the body gets stopped by the tampon and then will back up, if the anatomy is just right, into the fallopian tubes, where it reabsorbs into the abdominal cavity, and that's endometriosis. Endometriosis is living uterine tissue inside the abdomen, right? And it was trying to get out, but something stopped it from getting out, and then it backed up into the system, so to speak, and spilled out into the abdominal cavity, and that's what we speculate causes endometriosis. We think it's mostly tampons. Now, another thing that can cause it is doing gymnastics or doing some type of inverted yoga pose during the menstrual cycle, anything that puts the body upside down when you're having your menstrual cycle. And there probably are a number of other things that can do it as well, but that's our take on it. And this is one of the few times that MD interventions are really the only thing to fix the problem, because you have living uterine tissue in part of the body that it shouldn't be. And the only way to remedy that situation is to go in surgically and remove it, because it shouldn't be there, but it's there. But now we got to get rid of it. Now, I've known of a few people in my travels that have been diagnosed with endometriosis, and they've gotten on the other side of it with medical nutrition, homeopathy, and acupuncture. But I think the people who get on the other side of it are the exception rather than the rule, because, it's living uterine tissue and they play a part of the body where it shouldn't be. So that's our take on it, right or wrong. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. It's a horrible illness for most women, because every month it makes the whole menstrual experience a very painful thing. Of course, medical nutrition and some herbs can take the edge off of that. And in this day and age, because of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, if it's not life-threatening, I recommend you do everything 10 times before you go in for surgery. Do everything else 10 times before you remit to the surgical procedure, because antibiotic-resistant bacteria, it's a big, bad voodoo daddy. It's everywhere all the time now. Nobody's talking about it. It's like a big, dirty little secret in the medical industry, and people are going down because of it. I mean, just from simple things. They'll go in to have, a facelift, or they'll go in to have, a wart removed, or something like that, a bunion removed, and they get antibiotic-resistant bacteria and their foot falls off, or whatever. It's not good. So back in the day when I was in medical school, we would refer out for this all of the time. But notwithstanding that now, I say do medical nutrition, do botanical medicine, do homeopathy, and do acupuncture to try to get on the other side of it before you even start to consider the scalpel. Does that sound good, Robin Hood? Well,
what does the scalpel do? I mean, how do they remove that stuff?
They go in and they open you up, and they go in and they scoop it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what happens at 80 years old after I'm sure she's been through menopause and everything, and it's not still going on, is it?
No, there's nothing. After you reach menopause, most of the symptoms of endometriosis disappear, because it's a hormonal thing, and, it's your hormones are everywhere in the body all the time. So the tissue that's in the abdomen where it shouldn't be, during the regular cycle, the regular hormonal cycle gets activated once a month, and when it gets activated, you feel like crap. And so, but after menopause, it should be gone. However, some women who have endometriosis during menopause or perimenopause, right, when they're having hot flushes and mood swings, it's 5 times worse for them.
Right. Right.
Because there's more hormones in the body, because there's more uterine tissue, and it's a nightmare. So.
Oh yeah, that answers a lot.
But after menopause, it usually straightens itself out, and everything kind of recedes into the wilderness.
Very good.
Hey, Dave, you're the greatest. I got a full board today.
Thanks,
I got to
Doc.
move along. Keep up the good
Love
work.
you.
All right, man. You're the
All
best.
right.
Keep it up.
Bye-bye.
We're all in this together. From Michigan to South Dakota, let's talk to Sharon about bladder issues. Hey, Sharon. Thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi. How are you today?
I'm good, but I'll get better. Thanks for asking. How can I help?
I've been was diagnosed with interstitial cystitis.
Yeah.
Quite a while ago. I've had a hysterectomy when I was like 39. And I was just recently diagnosed with some mild diverticulosis. And what bothers me the most is the bladder pain. I've been on the Healthy Digestion Pack for 3 months now. I just can't seem to get beyond the bladder pain, and it bothers me most on the left side of my bladder. Today it's kind of right in the middle, but it has to do with the bowel too. It just seems like everything is all congested down there.
Okay, yeah, I get it. And, this speaks volumes to the intimate interconnectedness amongst systems of the body, right? And this speaks to the very heart of the holistic medical model. Because your MD, who's trained in a reductionistic philosophy, believes that the lungs are the lungs, and the left knee is the left knee, and the right knee is the right knee, and the stomach is the stomach, and the small intestine, everything's separate, and they've got one thing for everything, right?
Yep.
They've got one medicine for this, and one medicine for that, and one medicine for this, and they don't really even think about how they're all interrelated, and they don't care. And they've thrown the baby out with the bathwater because they've done that. So when things aren't right somewhere in the abdominal cavity, like with the bladder, that's going to have ripple effects on the colon. It's going to have ripple effects on the small intestine. It's going to have ripple effects on everything because everything's connected.
I know, and it does. That's exactly how it's been.
Yeah, right. And that the fact that the MDs overlook this, or they don't want to affirm that it's true, it's extremely frustrating. But in any event, that's why we're here. So the first thing you need to do is eliminate the 10 bad foods. Have you done that?
Yes, I've already done that.
All right, good girl. The second thing to do is give the bladder a little bit more support. And a nice little metaphor for this is an onion. If you buy a nice fresh onion and you leave it on the countertop, you don't put it in a plastic bag, you don't put it in the fridge. Actually, if you put it in the fridge, this will happen faster. If you just stick it in the fridge without any plastic around it, it'll dry out. In about a week, it gets all dried out, it shrinks down, it gets dried out. And when an onion gets dried out, the layers of the onion start to separate each from the other, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the bladder has layers in it. There's layers of tissue inside the bladder, just like an onion. And when the bladder is nutrified and your body is healthy and happy, everything is hunky-dory between the layers and life is good. But when the bladder becomes undernutrified, the layers start to separate. They lose their flexibility. They lose their lubrication ability. And that's what engenders pain because, the bladder is a muscle. Part of it is a muscle. And when you pee, the muscle contracts. And when the muscle contracts, if there's not proper lubrication in there, and if the bladder's kind of like an old dried out onion, just a simple contraction of the bladder in order to get you to pee is going to be very painful. So it's like rubbing your hands together really fast. It creates heat and friction. Well, there's friction now in the bladder where there shouldn't be. So the main cause of this, from our point of view, is a lack of the trace mineral copper, which leads to a lack of elastin, E-L-A-S-T-I-N. It's a hard word to pronounce, elastin. When the body loses its elastic, the ability to manufacture elasticity, things like this start to happen. So one of the things that you would benefit from here to support and promote the body's production of elastin would be selenium. So have you taken any selenium?
Yes, I've been taking 6 to 8 a day.
How much do you weigh?
I weigh 120 pounds.
Okay, how many EFAs are you taking a day?
3.
Okay, take 6 EFAs a day from now on. And I'd like to see you, in this case, do the EFA plus.
Yep, that's what I've been doing.
All right, do 6 of those from now on, please. 2 with breakfast, 2 with lunch, 2 with dinner. How long have you been on the program?
For 3 months on the 19th.
Okay, so has anything gotten better? Anything at all?
My sleep, I take the Kel-Toddy because I take both calciums, actually, but I take the Kel-Toddy before I go to bed.
Yeah.
I need the magnesium so I can have better bowel movements, because otherwise I get constipated.
So your bowel movements have improved and your sleep has improved?
My sleep has improved the most.
Okay.
I mean, I think I didn't sleep for like 10 years.
Yeah, that's a bummer, isn't it? I mean, isn't that a bummer?
It's awful.
I know, it really is.
And I was on antidepressants, and I've done the whole bladder installation thing. I just like you said, I fired them all. And in 2014, I'm not going to see one. I am done.
All right, good.
I have had it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. You know, you got to take the right dog for the hunt. I really am of the opinion here, Sharon, that you just need to give this program a little bit more time. And now, it's also possible that you would benefit here from glucogel. But you know what I'm going to tell you to do for 4 weeks is do some Maquis Plus. Got a couple of bottles of Maquis Plus, MAQUI Plus.
Okay, I did that for 1 month, and I'm doing the glucogel.
Did the Maquis Plus help when you did it, or was there no noticeable change?
No, there was no noticeable change.
All right, then you need to make drop dead sure you're not eating anything that has gluten in it. Just triple check that. Give the program more time, kiddo. All you need is more time. The body heals in steps. Just hang in there. Visit the webinars. Go to my webinars every day if you want moral support.
I do.
Right, hang in there.
On the radio.
Sometimes this can be a frustrating train to ride on. Sometimes it can be frustrating, especially in the first year. You never know how long it's going to take the body to bounce back. You just never know, and nobody can guess. Nobody can tell you that. And, you'll hang out in Longevity Nation, and every once in a while, seems like more and more frequently, quite frankly, someone comes along and they've taken the stuff for 3 days and they have a life-changing experience. Well, that's fabulous, but it's the exception, it's not the rule. I've known lots of people that have gone down the road of medical nutrition, and they don't really feel anything of great moment until 7, 8, 9, 10 months later. We had one woman in the chat room, I forget her name. You'd think I would remember her name, and forgive me for forgetting the name, but that's just how my brain works. I really do think I need more EFAs. But she struggled with the program, and it took 10 months. 10 months, and then all of a sudden, everything turned around on the 10th month, and it was a dramatic turnaround on the 10th month. It took time. Nobody knows how long it's going to take. One thing that anybody can do after they've been on the program for more than 3 months, once you've been on the program, the full-boat program, where you've eliminated the 10 bad foods, all 10 of them, not just 2 of them, all 10 of them, and you're taking the nutritional supplements religiously, you can do a cleanse. You can do a cleanse. And if you incorporate into the cleanse colonic hydrotherapy treatments, 2 or 3 colonic hydrotherapy treatments during a 5 or 7 day cleanse, that can really speed things up quite a bit. Well, notwithstanding that, if things aren't turning around for you in a speed that's sufficient to your cause, you just have to hang out, and give the program time. This is the most frustrating aspect of holistic medicine, because remember, it takes a whole lot longer to build a house than it does to blow one up. Let's talk to Terry in Virginia now and see what she's thinking about. Hey, Terry, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hey, Doc Glidden.
What's up, Terry?
Hey, I've been listening to you since you came on around 4. You should check out Radio Liberty at Listen Online for answers to your questions you just had.
Radio Liberty?
I've listened to him for 7 years.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yeah, there's a very wise elder there, and he has all of these interesting guests that have all different kinds of subjects.
Excellent. I'll check it out.
All the questions you was talking about and other stuff.
I'll look forward to it. Thank you very much, Terry.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about my high blood pressure carvedilol issue. I went to the pharmacist to ask them to put me on a reduction schedule, and they said that they didn't do that at the pharmacy, that I had to go to the doctor. Remember, I'm in Virginia. And I went to the doctor about a year ago, and he said that my blood pressure wasn't low enough, and it's pretty much about where it's been, you know. And he said that he would not reduce it until I was about to fall out in the floor, that I need this to go away because he had lots of more sick patients than me to deal with.
Yeah, well, isn't that great? Yeah, just get the hell out of my office if you're telling me you want to stop taking my medicine, right?
Right, yeah. He was my mom's doctor, too, and was my youngest brother's doctor.
Well, so here's the deal with all of this, right? There's nobody holding a gun to your head making you take any prescription medication. There's nobody holding a gun to your head making you eat a certain way or take nutritional supplements either. You have charge over your body. You get to decide what you want to do. Now, if you've asked 2 medical professionals to help you, and the help has not been forthcoming and they have denied you, then you're left to your own devices. If I were you, what I would do is I would get a pill cutter, and I would cut the pills in half for 14 days. And then on day 15, I'd cut them in half again, take a half of a half for 14 days, and then I would stop. And that's how I would do it. I'm not recommending that you do that. That's what I would do if I was trying to come off of this particular medication. But remember, you have to get a blood pressure cuff. You have to be taking your blood pressure religiously every day. And when you reduce the medication, you're probably going to get a bounce of blood pressure for 2 or 3 days. As long as it continues to trend downwards, you're good. Remember, blood pressure is called the silent killer because you can be 5 minutes away from a heart attack and feel like $1 million. Well, maybe not $1 million, maybe $500,000. You need to measure the blood pressure. But that's how I would do it, with a simple pill cutter. Check it out, Terry, and give me a call back. Second hour coming up, folks. Stick around.